Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Ella. If you're just seeing my face for the first time, you're welcome to my space. And in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you my birth story. Yes, I have been waiting for this, and I want to make sure I actually do this video in more of a vlog so that I don't think I'll ever forget, because that is a day in a mother's life that we never forget about. So I just want to make sure I do this video and post it here on my YouTube channel to always look back on it and stuff like that. So I'm going to be sharing those wonderful moments with you, and I hope you enjoy this video. So let me not bore you. Let's get right into this video. So a year after struggling with infertility and finally getting pregnant and carrying my baby full term for a whole 9 months, this baby girl refused to come down. Okay, like, I carried my baby girl for almost 43 weeks. Yes, 42 weeks and 3 days. Yes, I know that was too much. Like, I passed my due date with 2 weeks and 3 days. Okay, what happened was that I became really ready to have my baby from 38 weeks. Okay, I mean, I love being pregnant, and I love being pregnant, definitely. But at 38 weeks, I was already fed up. Like, I couldn't take it anymore. I was ready to just pop out this baby. Like, come on, baby girl, we have to go. It's 38 weeks already, and I know you're good to go. So at 38 weeks, I was expecting that, okay, she's gonna come. She never did. 39 weeks and nothing. And at 40 weeks, that was when I started having contractions. Okay, I started having mid contractions here and there. They were consistent, but they were not lasting for up to 3 minutes or 4 minutes. So it was just more like a minute or a few seconds kind of contraction, and it was really painful. And I was really expecting that, okay, since I was having these contractions already from 40 weeks, there's a chance that this baby is just gonna hit hard and I'm just gonna give birth to her this 40 weeks. So I kept having this mid contraction here and there, all throughout my 40 weeks and nothing. So when I went for my 41-week appointment, and that was when I suggested an induction to my gynecologist, but she didn't buy the idea of me requesting for an induction. So she was rather saying something else that I wasn't looking forward to want to do, which was a CS. I have passed my due date, all right? So I went for my 41 week appointment, and then on getting there, and my gynecologist were like, you're not dilating at all. And I was like, are you serious? It's past 38 weeks, it's past 39 weeks, it's past 40 weeks. I'm in my 41 weeks and I'm having mid contractions and I'm not dilating. She said, yes, you're not dilating, and that she's just going to monitor me and keep monitoring for a couple of days and see how it goes. If the baby still didn't come, then she's going to option for a CS. And that was when I was like, no, I don't want a CS, I want an induction. So she was like, okay, we're going to take on the induction, but not now. She's going to give me a little bit of time for probably a next appointment, a 42 weeks appointment, and if the baby is still not coming, then we're going to consider an induction. We went back home and I was still having contractions upon contraction, but this time it was coming. It would last 2 minutes and some seconds and just keep coming, and it would be so painful. And I just kept crying because at some point I was really getting frustrated, knowing very much that I was really getting tired. I was really tired of being pregnant, and I just want to have my baby and just make sure she's safe in my arms. I mean, being pregnant then, I really had a lot of anxiety that I felt that she wasn't safe enough in my womb. Because I read too much of old midwife tales online about how you can stretch your hand. If you stretch your hand too far to take anything from the top, the umbilical cord is going to tie the baby's neck. If you sleep on the other side of the bed, the baby's not going to have oxygen and then the baby's going to die. If you eat some certain kind of fruit, like I read too much of old midwife tales that I was being careful to the extent that I became too protective of my baby even when she was in the womb. So as at 38 weeks, 39, 40 weeks, I was already ready to pop out that baby and hold her in my arms and make sure she's safe, where I can actually just look at her. While seeing her, I'll just know, yes, it's time for me to protect her. I need to protect her, okay? So all of this anxiety I was having, and that was why I was a little bit more frustrated during my 38, 39 weeks and not having baby yet. And I was really frustrated because I was tired of being pregnant and I just want to make sure that she was with me already. So after that appointment and getting home and still having those contractions, my husband and I decided, okay, so why don't we just make a move? Okay, so I decided to go online and do some more research on things to fasten labor, the things to actually do, and just, I don't know, just go into labor. So I went online and I saw some few tips, things that I could actually do that I did try. So I came across castor oil. I came across going for a walk. I came across eating spicy food. I came across a pineapple. Yes, and I came across having sex. All of this was what I came across online, and I decided, okay, fine. So I'm just gonna try and see what I can do. Probably do all of them and see if I can just go into labor. So my husband and I did, let me say baby dance, because I like using that word. It's free for me to just use that one than just using the other word. So my husband and I baby danced a lot, just like a lot, to make sure that I go into labor. And he bought me a lot of pineapple to eat and also make sure I go into labor. He bought me, what's it called? He made me spicy food to make sure I go into labor. I would wake up every day, every morning, and put on my shoe and then go for a walk and just work around and come back. And then in the evening, my husband and I, when he gets back from work, we also go out again for a walk, just making sure that I go into labor. And then after that, the last option was castor oil. I read a lot of negative things about castor oil. It was really scary, but I still had to just make sure that I take it to just, I don't know, make sure something happens, anything happens. And then after all of that, I started having contractions, and they were gradually becoming unbearable for me. And I would have contractions, especially from my back. Yes, my waistline, from my back, and it was really painful. So I had no idea if I was actually going into labor or not, because I was expecting to I was expected to have contractions and going to labor from around this side, like, oh, the baby's coming from this side. But rather I was having contractions from around my waist, and I could feel a lot of pressure from my waistline, and it was becoming unbearable. And my husband wasn't at home as at late that evening, so I took my phone and I posted on my pregnancy app, because it's more like a group. There's a small community where a lot of women just come together and talk. So I posted on my pregnancy app that I'm about 42 weeks and some days pregnant, and I am having some contractions around my waistline, and it's mounting a lot of pressure on my butt and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm actually going into labor, if it's contraction, or if it's anything else at all. So is it possible to have contractions around your waistline instead of the front area, where you're just like, oh, the baby is coming? Sorry, I'm reacting that way. So the nice and wonderful women from my pregnancy app commented that it's labor. Like, some women actually do go into labor and have contractions and labor pain around their waistline, while some of them just feel it the other way around. All of this was about 42 weeks. So we went to the hospital, and then the doctor checked, and they said I was 2 centimeters gone, but there was no way they could keep me. I still need to just progress a little bit more further in order to go into active labor. So I went back home, and then I continued all the process of going for a walk and having spicy food and pineapple and stuff like that until my 42 and 3 days appointment. That was when my gynecologist realized, okay, it's more or less like this baby is not coming anytime soon, so we are going to go in for an induction. So that same day she booked an induction appointment for me. That was about around 12 stroke 1 a.m. So my husband and I had to be at the hospital so that they would induce me. I'm so sorry guys that I didn't film a lot of video and take a lot of pictures. That's because I had no idea that I was gonna be starting YouTube anytime soon. But little video and pictures that I took, I'm definitely gonna be displaying in this video. So we got to the hospital by 1 a.m. and then they started with the whole thing. I can't really remember much. I can't really remember the medication they used, but after a while I started having contractions, like mad contractions. They were so painful, super painful, like seriously. I had to request for an epidural, and that was when I got an epidural that actually went wrong. It's not like the epidural didn't work. It did work, okay, just that it didn't go smoothly. But first of all, after applying the epidural, the contraction and everything just subside. Like I couldn't feel anything anymore, and I finally got to sleep, you know, from crying and walking around and screaming in pain. After the epidural, all of that stopped. So I lay down for just a couple of minutes to rest my head and sleep, you know, just take a little bit of rest. And I think I did that for just maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And that was when my water broke. My water broke, and I noticed I got wet automatically. And then I told my husband, I think my water just broke. So he called the nurses like, hey, I think my wife's water just broke. And then after my water broke, my gynecologist checked it and said I was ready to push. I wasn't feeling any pain anymore because of the epidural, so I couldn't tell when to push. So they had to tell me when to actually push. So after a couple of pushes, we finally had our baby girl. Yes. And then after that, relating to my previous video, I was still lying down, and I never knew that the epidural I took had actually gone wrong. Like I actually spent about 5 days at the hospital, all right? And that was because after having my baby, I was still lying down and didn't know that the epidural I took has actually gone wrong. Like that was why I said it didn't go smoothly. So I noticed that each time I get up and I try to want to nurse my baby or change her diaper or stand for too long, that I'm always having this massive migraine. Like I don't know, the pain is just too much that I will have to hold my head and start crying. And each time I complain to any of the nurses, they will come in and give me a paracetamol, and then I realized that it wasn't working. And that was when I told them that the paracetamol they keep giving me for this headache, it just wasn't working. I mean, this is not me. Each time I get up to do something, I'm like having pain here and there. And that was when they knew that I had to get checked. So I think they did a brain scan or something. I really can't remember much, but they did took me for a test. My husband had to hold a baby girl, and then they took me away to go do whatever they went to do. And that was when they realized that the epidural that they administered to me, that was supposed to actually how am I gonna put it, instead of blood to flow down my spine, it's actually going up my brain, and that is why I was having that much of a headache that is probably going to result to something else if they don't correct it. So I ended up spending about 5-6 days at the hospital, and they did correct it. They took blood, I think, from my arm, and then they put it back. And then after they corrected it, the headache, the migraine, all of that, it was gone. I wasn't feeling it anymore. I could get up and do whatever I want to do without holding my head or crying. And yeah, that was it. So I think this is where I'm gonna hold it now, guys. I wish I have recorded this whole thing for you guys to have seen, but I am sorry I didn't do any of that. But I wish I have taken more photos and videos to share this moment with you. But yeah, here I am talking all about it. I mean, it's really wonderful and I am grateful that everything went smoothly. So this is basically all about my birth story. And yes, thank you for watching and hope to see you next Monday. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Okay? So see you next Monday.
Sorry. Sorry. Don't worry. Oh, it's not this room walking. Let me switch to us. Yeah, let's come around this. It's here now walking. Don't worry. Just for a while. Just for a while. Sorry.